Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and members from both sides of the aisle for the opportunity to bring forward the Stolen Identity Refund Fraud Prevention Act. Last week, I was grateful for the opportunity to share with the Oversight Subcommittee my experience with tax-related ID theft. Last year, my personal information was stolen, and someone used that information to electronically file a fraudulent tax return for my wife and I. That fraudulent return, which included a fake W-2 from the U.S. House of Representatives, claimed a significant refund with the proceeds directed to a bank outside the United States. So when it comes to ID theft, I truly understand the impact that it has on taxpayers across the country. Tax-related ID theft is an involving criminal activity that targets innocent taxpayers nationwide and robs the Treasury of billions of dollars each year. I'm committed to finding a way to crack down on this growing threat. This bipartisan legislation, introduced with my friend and colleague, Mr. Lewis, is an important first step in the fight to reduce that threat. I was pleased that two core components from this legislation were included in the PATH Act that passed last December. The other components of this bill, as amended, will further shield taxpayer dollars from thieves and reduce hardships caused by this criminal activity. They include establishing a centralized point of contact at the IRS for ID theft victims, making it easier for victims to resolve their ID theft tax cases, and ensuring a unit at the IRS is held accountable for handling a taxpayer's case from start to finish. Another one requires improved taxpayer notification of suspected ID theft. Under this provision, when the IRS determines there has been an unauthorized use of a taxpayer's identity, the IRS will be required, as soon as practicable and without jeopardizing the investigation, to notify the taxpayer, along with instructions to the taxpayer about filing a police report. The last one I will mention would require the IRS to submit a study on the feasibility of establishing a program for ID theft victims to be able to opt out of electronic filing. This provision would require the IRS to report back to Congress within 180 days on this issue. Mr. Chairman, tax-related identity theft is one of the most pressing challenges that we face in the world of tax administration. This complex and evolving threat requires cooperation from Congress, the IRS, state revenue agencies, and industry stakeholders. While I am aware that not every tax-related ID theft problem is best served with a congressional solution, this legislation is an important first step in fighting ID theft and better protecting victims. I want to also thank my friend, Mr. Pascrell, for his work on this issue and support his amendments he will be offering today. I look forward to continuing to work with all stakeholders to curb this growing threat. Thank you, and I yield back.